Hello, I'm Colm Cunningham, Director of Hammond Care's Dementia Centre, and I'm here today with Danielle McIntosh, one of our Senior Design Consultants, and Angela Regis, who's General Manager for Residential Services at Hammond Care. Danielle, can you tell me, why does design matter in dementia care?
Well, for people with dementia, they're going to have difficulties perceiving their environment, making decisions and functioning in that space. And we need to make sure that the design of a building actually helps overcome some of those difficulties, because we can't reverse the brain damage. But just through some really simple modifications and adaptations, we can actually help them function better.
Can you give me an example of a change?
I'm making it easier to actually find the toilet. You know, there's nothing as worse as when you're dying to go to the toilet but you can't find which is the door that I need to actually find. And it only takes a couple of wrong choices and you can't hold it in anymore, and it could be the difference between you being continent or being incontinent.
Angela, what happens when we get it wrong in the build?
When we get it wrong, we can actually disable. Where we start to, we create more noise, is an example. If our doors don't function the way that we thought they would on a piece of paper, we then lose the confidence of the staff, who start to see, well, the building that you've spent so much time investing in designing, if it doesn't work, then the things that are right don't get used to their full capacity because we've got confidence issues with the staff. Mm-hmm. We see residents and families who might need to get a higher level of care before they would actually need it otherwise. We see the excess disability when we get it wrong. And
you mentioned noise there. What's the impact for somebody with dementia if we get noise wrong?
Look, the impact, it's significant and it isn't just exacerbated challenging behaviour or aggression. Often it can be withdrawal. It can be manifested in a range of different ways. And so there's people out there who will think, oh, well, we've had a noisy facility for years and all the residents are fine. If you take away the noise, you start to see people coming out of their shell because they can hear you, because they're not overstimulated by the confusing sounds, background noise. And in terms of staff environment, it's actually a nicer place to work when you don't have a lot of noise.
So what's a good starting point, Danielle, and if we're thinking about where do we start in making sure the building is right in the way we design it or the way we adapt it?
Okay, I think two things first. First one is actually knowing the people that you're caring for, understanding what their needs and abilities are as well as their disabilities. But then it's also about knowing the design principles and knowing what should a good environment and a good building actually be. So we know from the evidence internationally that we should be designing buildings that compensate for disability, that maximise independence, and that actually promote self-esteem and self-confidence, because they're the three big things that will actually impact on a person's quality of life.
And Angela, Hammond Care prides itself on building facilities that work for people with dementia. Does that make a difference in the way, does design make a difference and add value to who you are as an organisation?
Yeah, it does, but it's not the only component, and I think that's a really important part. The building design is one aspect of an overall model of care, an approach to care. The environment, whilst it's designed with principles in mind that enable a person with dementia, they're also designed to enable a philosophy or a model that looks at giving people a chance of living within a home, not an institution, for giving a chance for people to live within a space that they can control and feel as though they belong. And all of those things contribute to really good dementia care, but they're also part of an overall approach to care and a model that the building is just one part of. But yeah, it's absolutely an important part of the organisation's approach, is the environment. Mm-hmm.
Danielle, I know you've consulted with organisations in Australia and internationally about what is important in terms of their design. Are there some things that have added value through that process for them as an organisation through advising on design?
Very much so. There's a lot of money involved in building a new aged care facility, a new hospital, a new space that's going to be for people with dementia, be it overnight care or daycare. And it's about making sure that you're actually getting value for money and that you're actually putting those dollars to really good use. You know, when funding is scarce, you need to make sure you get the most bang for your buck, basically. And what we've been able to do is help organisations make the right decisions about building at the very beginning, not when the building's built and we're needing to make changes, but when it's being planned, that we can actually get it right so that it actually has benefits for people with dementia who are using that space, but also for staff.
For people wanting to use the services at Dementia Centre, what support can they provide?
Well, we provide a consultancy service, and that can go from being able to plan the building right through to what Angela was saying in terms of then operationalising the building, supporting staff to understand why the building looks the way it does and how they can actually use that as a really effective strategy in supporting people with dementia or their residents. We also provide a lot of resources, some that are free and some that you can buy from the online shop. We also run education events, particularly the International Dementia Design Schools, which is a 3-day intensive design workshop that looks at all aspects of planning right through to delivery of a building that hopefully will work for the residents and for the staff and the organisation.
And what does our Dementia Centre team look like in terms of the people who will be delivering that advice and support and education?
We have a range of different consultants with various backgrounds and expertise in the building industry as well as dementia. So we've got an architect, an engineer. We also call on a lot of the expertise within Hammond Care who have actually delivered a lot of these buildings and that have actually made them work, particularly our Hammond Care College colleagues who are able to work with the staff and help them understand why the building's designed the way it does and how to utilise it to its best.
Thank you, Danielle. Thank you, Angela. This will be part of a series looking at the issue of design in dementia care, so thank you for joining us and look out for our next video.